In a shocking courtroom moment that has gripped America, HOA President Patricia Henderson revealed stunning lies under oath that left the entire courtroom speechless. On live television, Judge Judy's face said everything without speaking a single word. Her devastating silent reaction not only exposed the truth, but brought the defendant to tears of relief and Patricia to complete humiliation. What happened next shocked even the most seasoned courtroom veterans. Judge Judy did something she had never done in 28 years on television. Something so rare that legal experts are still debating whether it was the most justified moment in courtroom history. The lie Patricia told seemed small at first, just a simple claim about certified letters. But when Judge Judy's eyes narrowed and that deadly silence filled the room, everyone knew something catastrophic was about to unfold. This wasn't just another HOA dispute. This was a complete destruction of a woman who thought she was untouchable, who believed her position gave her the right to fabricate evidence and ruin lives. Within seconds, Patricia's entire world collapsed, and Judge Judy's face became the most viral image of 2025. Was this the most powerful Judge Judy moment ever captured on camera? Before we dive into the shocking courtroom drama, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss moments like this. Hit that like button if you love seeing justice served and drop a comment telling us what you think Judge Judy should have done. The morning of March 15th was supposed to be just another routine court session. Judge Judy had scheduled what appeared to be a simple HOA dispute, the kind she'd handled hundreds of times before. Patricia Henderson, a 58-year-old HOA president from Riverside Estates in Florida, strutted into the courtroom like she owned it. She wore an expensive blazer that strained at the buttons, her hair teased into an aggressive bob, and she carried 3 overstuffed binders under her arm. Everything about her screamed entitlement. She planted herself at the plaintiff's table with a satisfied smirk, barely acknowledging the defendant. Across from her stood Marcus Thompson, a 34-year-old software engineer who had saved for years to buy his first home. He looked terrified, clutching a single manila folder with trembling hands. His wife sat in the gallery gripping a rosary. But as Patricia raised her right hand to be sworn in, something shifted in Judge Judy's eyes. They sharpened like a hawk spotting prey. The courtroom, usually buzzing with whispers, went unusually quiet. Even Bailiff Byrd straightened his posture. Judge Judy wasted no time. Mrs. Henderson, you claim Mr. Thompson violated HOA regulations. What proof do you have that he was properly notified? Patricia didn't hesitate. She leaned into the microphone with absolute confidence and said, "We sent 3 certified letters, Your Honor. 3, all returned as refused delivery." The camera zoomed in on Judge Judy's face as her right eyebrow slowly, deliberately raised. Patricia, oblivious to the danger, kept digging her grave deeper. "This homeowner has been in blatant violation for 8 months and ignored every single warning we sent." She leaned back in her chair, arms crossed over her chest, wearing that self-satisfied smirk like a crown. Judge Judy's jaw visibly tightened. Her eyes narrowed to slits. Marcus whispered desperately to his folder, "That's not true." But his voice barely carried. Judge Judy's silence became absolutely deafening. The studio crew, veterans who had witnessed thousands of cases over nearly 3 decades, exchanged nervous glances. One producer would later admit in an interview, "I've never seen her face do that before. It was like watching a volcano about to erupt." Judge Judy leaned back in her leather chair, her hands folding deliberately on the bench in front of her. She said absolutely nothing. 1 second passed. The courtroom held its collective breath. Patricia's smirk flickered just slightly at the corners. 2 seconds. The air grew thick with tension. You could hear someone in the gallery shift uncomfortably in their seat. 3 seconds. Bailiff Byrd glanced sideways at Judge Judy, his eyebrows raised in concern. He'd seen this before, but never quite like this. 4 seconds. Patricia's smirk began to crack. Her eyes darted to her lawyer, who was suddenly very interested in his notepad. 5 seconds. The silence was suffocating, oppressive, like the moment before thunder cracks the sky. Patricia's confidence visibly wavered. Then Judge Judy moved. Slowly, deliberately, she reached up and removed her glasses. She pulled a cloth from beneath her bench and began cleaning the lenses with meticulous care. It was the move. Everyone who had watched Judge Judy for years knew what it meant. It was the gesture she only made when someone had committed an unforgivable error, when she was preparing to methodically dismantle them piece by piece. Patricia shifted in her seat, her binders suddenly feeling less like armor and more like props in a failing performance. She cleared her throat. "Your Honor, I have documentation right here that proves..." Judge Judy raised a single finger. "Just one." She didn't look up from cleaning her glasses. "Stop talking." 2 words. Simple, quiet, devastating. Patricia's face went from flushed pink to ash white in an instant. Her mouth hung open mid-sentence. The courtroom didn't just go quiet, it froze. Every person seemed to stop breathing simultaneously. Marcus Thompson's wife clutched her rosary tighter, Whispering a silent prayer, Patricia's lawyer put his pen down and slowly, almost imperceptibly, began to distance himself from his client by leaning away. Judge Judy placed her glasses back on her face with deliberate precision, adjusting them just so. Then her eyes locked onto Patricia like a laser guidance system. Her voice dropped to that deadly calm tone, the one that was somehow more terrifying than any shout could ever be. "You have documentation?" It wasn't really a question. It was a trap, and everyone in the room knew it except Patricia. Patricia nodded eagerly, desperately grasping at this lifeline. "Yes, Your Honor, right here in my binder. I have everything organized by date and show me." 2 more words. Judge Judy extended her hand across the bench, palm up, fingers slightly curled, waiting. Patricia's hands trembled as she fumbled through her meticulously organized binders. Papers rustled loudly in the silence. She pulled out a plastic sheet protector containing what appeared to be certified mail receipts. Green and white forms with tracking numbers, official-looking stamps, the works. She practically lunged forward to hand them to Bailiff Byrd, who carried them to Judge Judy with the solemnity of a man delivering evidence in a murder trial. Judge Judy took the papers. She didn't look at them immediately. Instead, she turned her attention to Marcus. "Mr. Thompson, do you have anything to show me?" Her voice toward him was different. Still firm, still commanding, but without that underlying threat of imminent destruction. Marcus nodded quickly, nervously pulling a plain manila envelope from his folder. His hands shook so badly the envelope crinkled. "Yes, Your Honor, I printed these this morning." Bailiff Byrd retrieved the envelope and handed it to Judge Judy. What happened next would be replayed millions of times across social media, analyzed frame by frame, memed into immortality. Judge Judy opened Marcus's envelope first. She pulled out several printed pages. Her eyes scanned the first page, then the second. Her expression remained neutral, but something flickered in her eyes. Recognition, confirmation, vindication. She set Marcus's papers down carefully, almost reverently. Then she picked up Patricia's certified mail receipts. For 15 seconds she examined them in complete silence. Those 15 seconds felt like 15 hours. The camera zoomed in on Patricia's face. A bead of sweat had formed at her temple. Her lawyer had gone completely pale. The courtroom audience leaned forward collectively, desperate to see what Judge Judy was seeing. Judge Judy held both sets of documents up, side by side like a teacher displaying a student's failed exam next to the answer key. Her expression transformed from professional skepticism to something much colder, much more dangerous, pure calculated fury. She set the papers down with a soft tap that somehow sounded like a gavel strike. "Mrs. Henderson." She used Patricia's last name, formal, distant, the way you address someone you've lost all respect for. Patricia's eyes went wide. "Yes, Your Honor. These tracking numbers you provided to this court." Judge Judy tapped the certified mail receipts with one finger. "They're not real, are they?" The question hung in the air like a noose. Patricia's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. Your Honor, there must be some kind of clerical error. Maybe the secretary transposed." Judge Judy cut her off with surgical precision. "These numbers don't exist in the USPS system." The courtroom gasped. Actual audible gasps rippled through the gallery. Patricia's lawyer physically sank lower in his seat, as if trying to disappear into the floor. One audience member whispered, "Oh my God," before quickly covering her mouth. Patricia's face had gone from white to a blotchy red. Sweat was now clearly visible on her forehead, her upper lip. The camera zoomed in tight, capturing every detail of her unraveling. Her eyes darted frantically between her lawyer, the exit, and Judge Judy. There was nowhere to run. Judge Judy continued, her voice dropping even lower, each word enunciated with devastating clarity. "But you stood in my courtroom, raised your right hand before God and the law, and told me that 3 certified letters were sent to Mr. Thompson's address. You told me they were returned as refused. You looked me in the eye and stated this as fact." Patricia's hands were shaking visibly now. She tried to grip the table for support. "Your Honor, I was told by our HOA secretary that the letters had been sent. I didn't personally." "Stop talking." Judge Judy's voice was ice. "Mr. Thompson's evidence shows a complete USPS tracking history for his address over the past 8 months. Would you like to know how many certified letters were sent to his address from your HOA?" Patricia couldn't speak. She just stared. 0, not 3, not 2, not even 1, 0. Judge Judy held up Marcus's printouts. "This is official USPS data, pulled directly from their tracking system. It shows every piece of certified mail sent to 4725 Willow Creek Drive, Apartment B, in the past 8 months. There are exactly 4 items. 1 from the IRS, 2 from his insurance company, and 1 from his mother." Someone in the gallery let out a nervous laugh at that last detail before quickly stifling it. Judge Judy wasn't finished. She leaned forward, her eyes boring into Patricia. You didn't just make a mistake, Mrs. Henderson. You didn't just rely on bad information. You fabricated evidence. These tracking numbers? She held up Patricia's papers. They're either completely made up, or they're tracking numbers from letters sent to entirely different addresses. Either way, you committed fraud. And you did it under oath. In my courtroom, Patricia broke. Completely, utterly broke. Tears began streaming down her face, ruining her carefully applied makeup. Mascara ran in black rivers down her cheeks. I thought the HOA secretary said she had sent them. I didn't know they weren't real. I was just trying to enforce the rules. Her voice was a pathetic whimper, barely audible. Judge Judy's face showed nothing but pure disgust. It was a look she reserved for the worst offenders, the ones who not only broke the law but insulted her intelligence while doing it. She sat back in her chair, the papers still in her hand, and for a moment she just stared at Patricia. The look said everything. It said, "You're not just wrong, you're morally bankrupt." It said, "You thought you could fool me." It said, "You picked the wrong courtroom, the wrong judge, and the wrong day." Patricia couldn't meet that gaze. She looked down at the table, her shoulders shaking with sobs, her expensive blazer now rumpled and sweat-stained. Her lawyer put a hand on her shoulder. Whether in comfort or restraint, no one could tell. Marcus Thompson sat frozen, hardly daring to believe what he was witnessing. His wife in the gallery had both hands over her mouth, tears of relief streaming down her face. Judge Judy finally spoke again, her voice cutting through Patricia's sobs like a knife. "Mrs. Henderson, do you understand the severity of what you've done here today?" Patricia nodded, unable to form words. "I don't think you do, but you're about to." Judge Judy turned her attention away from the sobbing Patricia Henderson and looked directly at Marcus Thompson. Her expression softened just slightly, the way a storm breaks to let through a single ray of sunlight. "Mr. Thompson," she said, her voice firm but no longer threatening. "Tell me what really happened. From the beginning." Marcus swallowed hard, his voice shaking as he began. "Your Honor, I never received a single letter, not one. I check my mail every single day because I work from home." He paused, steadying himself, and his voice grew stronger with each word. "I bought my house 9 months ago. It was my dream, my first home. I read the entire HOA handbook cover to cover 3 times before I even moved in, because I wanted to do everything right." His hands gripped the folder tighter as the words poured out. "From day one, Mrs. Henderson targeted me. She complained about my house's paint color, said it was off-white when the rules required cream. Your Honor, I literally matched the paint to the HOA-approved color chart. I have the receipt and the paint codes." Judge Judy nodded, listening intently. Marcus continued, his voice gaining confidence. "She complained my lawn was too high. I measured it myself, 3.5 inches, exactly within the 2 to 4 inch requirement. She complained about my Christmas lights in December, said they were up too early. The HOA calendar specifically allows decorations from December 1st through January 7th. I had mine up December 2nd. The courtroom was completely silent except for Marcus's voice. Even Patricia had stopped crying, staring at the table, unable to look up. Every single HOA meeting she would point at my house and make comments about certain people, lowering property values. She never said it directly, but everyone knew she meant me." Judge Judy's jaw clenched. The camera caught Patricia flinching at those words, her shame visible. Marcus pressed on, and now there was anger mixed with his pain. "I requested copies of these supposed violation letters in writing, multiple times. She told me they were internal HOA records and I wasn't entitled to see them. When I tried to attend board meetings to defend myself, she had security physically escort me out, said I was disrupting the proceedings when all I did was ask to speak." His voice cracked slightly. "Your Honor, I had to hire a lawyer just to get a copy of the HOA bylaws, the same bylaws she was legally required to provide me for free when I bought the house. That lawyer cost me $3,200, money I'd saved for my daughter's college fund." Judge Judy's expression had transformed into barely contained rage. Her knuckles were white as she gripped her pen. Marcus finished quietly. "I followed every single rule. I did everything right. And she still tried to destroy me." Judge Judy took a deep breath, her eyes never leaving Marcus. Then she asked the question that would seal Patricia's fate. "Mr. Thompson, how much is Mrs. Henderson demanding you pay in fines?" Marcus looked her straight in the eye. $15,000, Your Honor." The number hung in the air like an executioner's blade. Judge Judy repeated it slowly, letting each word sink in. $15,000. For violations that never existed based on letters that were never sent, with evidence that was completely fabricated. She turned back to Patricia, who had begun sobbing again. "Mrs. Henderson, you tried to extort $15,000 from this man based on lies, based on fabricated evidence that you presented under oath in my courtroom." Patricia's voice was a desperate wail. I was doing my job as HOA president. I was just trying to maintain property values and enforce the— Judge Judy exploded. Your job is not to lie in my courtroom. The shout echoed off the walls. Everyone in the courtroom jumped. Patricia's lawyer nearly fell out of his chair. Even Bailiff Bird's eyes went wide. Judge Judy wasn't finished. Her voice was thunder, righteous fury unleashed. Your job is not to forge documents. Your job is not to harass homeowners who followed every single rule. Your job is not to fabricate violations and then commit perjury when you get caught. Patricia collapsed forward onto the table, her whole body shaking with sobs. Her expensive blazer bunched up around her shoulders. Mascara pooled on the papers in front of her. She was utterly destroyed. Judge Judy let the silence hang for a moment. Let Patricia's breakdown fill the courtroom. Then her voice returned to that deadly calm, that icy control that was somehow even more terrifying than her shout. Mrs. Henderson. Patricia didn't look up. Mrs. Henderson, look at me. Slowly, pathetically, Patricia raised her tear-streaked face. Judge Judy stared at her with an expression of absolute contempt. I'm not finished with you yet. Bailiff Bird, standing stoically to the side, allowed the tiniest smile to cross his face. He'd been with Judge Judy long enough to know exactly what was coming next, and it was going to be devastating. If you're loving this courtroom justice, smash that like button right now. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss Judge Judy destroying liars. Drop a comment telling us, what would you have done if Patricia was your HOA president? And for exclusive behind-the-scenes breakdowns of cases like this, join our membership today. Judge Judy straightened her papers slowly. Here's what's going to happen, Mrs. Henderson. Judgment for the plaintiff, $15,000. Patricia gasped. Plus $5,000 for harassment. Plus $3,200 in legal fees. Plus $1,500 in court costs. Total, $24,700. Patricia nearly fainted. Your Honor, I can't afford— Judge Judy cut her off. You should have thought about that before you committed perjury. The courtroom erupted in applause. Judge Judy banged her gavel. I'm not done. I'm referring this to the district attorney for criminal charges. I'm recommending your HOA remove you immediately, and you'll complete 40 hours of mediation training at your own expense. Patricia's lawyer whispered frantically. Judge Judy stared Patricia down. Apologize to the person whose life you tried to ruin. Patricia turned to Marcus. I'm sorry. Marcus replied coldly. You're only sorry you got caught. Judge Judy banged her gavel. Out of my courtroom. We're done here. Within hours, clips flooded social media. HO Patricia exposed trended nationally. Judge Judy's silent stare hit 40 million views in one day. Memes exploded when USPS receipts don't lie. Legal experts debated on CNN and Fox News. Celebrities tweeted support. That night, Patricia's HOA held an emergency meeting. 47 homeowners voted her out, 43-4. The investigation revealed she'd targeted 12 other homeowners with fake violations, pocketing $18,000. Police opened a fraud case. News crews interviewed neighbors. She fined me for a garden gnome. Marcus appeared on TV. I hope this helps others stand up. State legislators proposed HOA reform laws. Support groups formed nationwide. Law schools used the clip as teaching material. Marcus started Homeowners Against HOA Corruption. Patricia's house went up for sale. She vanished completely. The neighborhood threw a celebration party. In one 15-minute case, Judge Judy exposed what thousands of Americans face daily. HOA presidents drunk on tiny amounts of power, people who think rules don't apply to them, bullies who abuse authority. Patricia thought she could lie because who would check? She forgot Judge Judy always checks. That silent stare wasn't just judgment, it was justice calculating consequences. Months later, Marcus said, Judge Judy gave me my life back. The case became a teaching moment for HOAs nationwide. After 28 years on television, Judge Judy has seen thousands of liars, but this case became legendary. That expression of pure disgust said everything words couldn't. It said, you're not just wrong, you're morally bankrupt. It said, you picked the wrong courtroom. For Patricia, that face will haunt her forever. For Marcus, it meant vindication. For America, it reminded us truth still matters. In Judge Judy's courtroom, liars never win. If this story of justice restored your faith in the system, don't just watch. Be part of our community. Subscribe now to join thousands who treasure truth and accountability. Smash that like button to honor everyone who stood up to bullies like Patricia. Comment below with your own HOA horror story. We read every single one. And for those who want deeper dives into cases like this, join our membership today for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes breakdowns. Together we stand up to the Karens of the world. Together we carry justice forward.